It's white to move. Black's king looks completely safe. He has already castled, the pieces are developed, and nothing looks immediately wrong. Most players would probably continue developing, maybe castle, or play a normal attacking move. But Lasker finds something much stronger. He plays one of the most famous queen sacrifices in chess history. At first, the idea looks impossible because black can simply take the queen. White's queen goes straight into danger. But the real problem is not the queen. The real problem is black's king. Once the king captures the queen, it gets pulled into the open and white's pieces start chasing it across the board. Keep this position in mind. We'll come back to it in a few minutes. Now let's go back to move 1 and see how this attack was built. Hello everyone, welcome back to Queen Sacrifice Legends episode 25. I'm Aniket, an Arena International Master. Today's game is Edward Lasker versus Thomas, played in London in 1912. Lasker was a strong master and a brilliant tactical player. Thomas was also a very strong player and he later became British chess champion. This game is famous because of one unforgettable queen sacrifice, followed by a king hunt that ends with checkmate on the other side of the board. If you enjoy classical attacking games and queen sacrifices, subscribe. Now let's start from move 1. The game begins with d4, e6, knight f3, f5. Black chooses a Dutch style setup. The idea is simple. Black wants control over the e4 square and hopes to build attacking chances later on the king side. White continues knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, bishop e7, bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6. White gives up the bishop for the knight. This is already important. Black's dark square bishop is now on f6 and it is very strong on this diagonal. So why did white gives up his dark color bishop? The point is he wanted to play pawn e4, just striking the center right away. And the knight from f6 was defending on e4. That was the whole point. And also, when you attack the king, you usually need either open lines, active pieces, or a lead in development. So here, white starts opening the position before black is fully comfortable. So black recaptures with f takes e4, the knight takes e4, and now white has a knight in the center and black's kingside structure has already changed. So black continues the game with b6. He just wanted to move the bishop on b7. So white played knight e5. This is the first move that shows white's attacking intention. The knight comes to e5, lures to black's king. It attacks important squares and support ideas on h7. Black castles. At first, castling looks normal, but in this position, black is not completely safe. White continues bishop d3, which is not a great choice. The reason, now black should continue the game with bishop takes e5, and after d takes e5 there's a knight c6, and that's it. There is no way for white to defend the pawn on e5. And if you are thinking of queen h5, then there's a rook f5, and then the same idea, the pawn on e5 cannot be defended. So that is why bishop d3 is not the great move. But white is preparing something very dangerous, because if you observe, black has already castled on the king side and the bishop is looking on h7 is very dangerous. This is a very common attacking pattern, but black did not take advantage of this move and played bishop b7, and now white plays queen h5. Now the threat is clear. White is attacking h7. The queen and bishop are both looking at the same square. And here, in this position, black should continue the game with bishop takes e5. This is the last chance he's having to continue the game. And if d takes e5, then there's a rook f5 and he's gonna lose a pawn again and his king is not safe, and even black is the one who's pushing the game. But unfortunately, after queen h5, black was not careful and he blundered the whole game. And he played queen e7. Black tries to defend and bring the queen closer to the king side. But now we reach the first critical moment. It's white to play. Take a few seconds here and find the best move for white. White's queen is attacking h7. Bishop on d3 is also attacking h7. The knight on e5 is very active. Black's king looks safe, but there are already tactical signs. Most players would hesitate here. They might think, can I really take on h7? What if the king takes my queen? But Lasker plays queen takes h7. White sacrifices the queen. At first, this looks completely insane. Black can simply capture the queen. And now, White has lost the queen. But this is the whole point. White was not trying to win material. White was trying to drag the king into the open. And now, Black's king is on h7. And once the king is exposed, White's minor pieces begin the chase. And now the king hunt begins. White plays knight takes f6, double check. This knight check is very important. White removes the bishop on f6 and checks the king at the same time. Black cannot relax. If in this position he goes back on h8, then there's a knight g6, simple checkmate with two knights. So he has to play king h6. Now look at Black's king. It started on g8, then it captured the queen on h7, and now it's already on h6. This is exactly what White wanted. The king is walking into the open. In this position, there's only one move which gives the White advantage, and the move is knight eg4 check. You need to have the knight on f6 because it protects the h5 squares. And also, both knights are working together. Black's king keeps running and played king g5, and now the position is becoming very dangerous. Black's king is on g5 in the middle of White's pieces, and White plays pawn h4 check. Simple and powerful. The h pawn joins the attack. This is an important lesson. In king hunts, you don't rely only on queens and rooks. Sometimes even a pawn move is the most forcing move. Black plays king f4. The king keeps running forward. But this is not freedom. That's a trap. White plays pawn g3 check. Again, another pawn joins the attack. White is taking away more and more squares. The king moves on f3. Now, Black's king is incredible deep in White's position. If you saw this position without knowing the moves, you might not believe it came from a normal opening. But this is a result of one queen sacrifice. The king has been dragged from g8 all the way to f3. White continues with bishop e2 check. Calm but deadly move. Bishop joins the attack and gives check. Black's king has only one path, which is king g2. And now Black's king reaches g2. It looks like king might escape, but White has one more piece ready, and he played rook h2 check, protecting by the knight. This is a key finishing idea. The rook checks along the second rank and forces the king to g1. And now we reach the final position. It's White to move. Can you find the checkmate? Pause the video here. In this position, there are multiple moves which are winning. For example, you can play long castle and that would lead to checkmate. But White finished the game with style and played king d2, and that's checkmate. This is one of the most beautiful quiet checkmates you will ever see. White does not give mate with a queen. White simply moves the king to deliver checkmate. Point is that moving the king clears the first rank and completes the net. Black's king on g1 has no escape. From move 11 to move 18, Black's king was dragged from h7 all the way to g1. White sacrificed the queen, but the king never found safety. So that was Lasker vs. Thomas, played in 1912. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe for the next queen sacrifice legend and comment below, would you have found Queen takes h7 check in this position. I will see you in the next one.